In the award-winning Showtime hit series, Dexter, the lead character, Dexter Morgan, lives a double life.
He's hardworking, he's great with kids, he's incredibly polite, he's a perfect gentleman. Well, except for that side of him that kills people.
Like Dexter, Mark Twitchell seems like an ordinary guy.
But just like Dexter, there's a lot more going on than meets the eye.
All Mark wants is to take care of his family and launch his fledgling movie career. Until he discovers the TV show Dexter.
He thought, this is it, this is awesome, I love this show. I'm gonna try and copy something like that.
It was kind of odd that you're filming that kind of thing. And we end up going to that garage because of a missing person.
That's really freaky. It was horrific. It was just completely unbelievable that somebody would do this to someone else.
But how does a serial killer in training use a TV show to set out to commit the perfect murder? October 2006, a new series debuts on Showtime. It features a blood spatter analyst for the Miami Police Department who moonlights as a serial killer.
Dexter Morgan could be sitting there next to you, and you would never know that this guy's capable of those sort of things.
Week after week, Dexter wraps his victims in plastic wrap, cuts them into pieces, and dumps their bodies. Dexter justifies his crimes by claiming he's taking out the trash, only killing other serial killers and child molesters.
As the series went on, we also see Dexter do things that make him seem more human. He gets married, he has kids, he loses people he loves. In a weird way, he's a lot like us.
Unfortunately, there's one man who identifies with Dexter a little too strongly. It's a copycat crime that still manages to give Detective Bill Clark nightmares.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that you're involved in the disappearance of John Altinger. There's no doubt he wanted to become a serial killer.
Spring 2008, Edmonton, Canada.
Hey, hon, I'm home. Hey.
29-year-old Mark Twitchell appears to be living a picture-perfect suburban life.
Yeah, it's
done.
So great.
Yeah, isn't that wonderful?
From a superficial standpoint, Mark was like everyone else. He was married, he had a child.
And you got something for Abby?
Well, it just kind of spoke to me, you know?
He came across as a very normal, average person. The very first time I met him.
I got something for you, too.
You did?
Well, I did.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mark's wife, Jess, is on maternity leave. They have a beautiful baby girl. And Mark has a job in sales, a profession for which he is tailor-made.
Oh, he certainly seemed like a salesman.
He was very smooth. He was very charming.
Mark appears to have it all. But this family man's life is about to spin out of control when he gets introduced to the show that will change his life forever. Dexter.
He immersed himself by watching the episodes again and again and again and again.
He really liked the guy. He thought that was great.
In the character of Dexter, Mark saw himself. Dexter puts on a facade of being normal but felt like an outsider. And Mark kept thinking, that's me.
So it wasn't that he was watching the television show Dexter and that created violence in him. It's that he was always attracted to that element, and the television show then gave him an area to explore it.
Mark's affection for Dexter and his sick homicidal perversions quickly seeps into Mark's real life. Instead of keeping up with his sales clients, he spends all of his time talking and emailing about Dexter.
Do you mind if I work from home today?
Mark is also consumed with his movie-making dreams.
He pictured himself as a, as a Hollywood movie producer. That type of an individual that would produce movies and make millions off it.
Jess is not as excited about her husband's movie-making ambitions. Now that they have a baby, she wants Mark to bring home a steady paycheck.
Can I tell you about this one?
No.
This one's really good. I really think you might like it.
Mark, I don't want to hear your ideas.
She complained a lot that he didn't really seem to care about them. They weren't married that long, I believe just over a year, and they were already, she was sleeping upstairs, he was sleeping downstairs.
Well.
Despite his wife's concerns, Mark Twitchell sets out to launch his movie career. He starts by trying to raise more than $1 million for a feature film.
Okay.
He was advertising that he had this big film contract from Hollywood.
He was a very skilled liar, and he seemed to have no problem doing so.
All right, we'll be in touch.
He soon quits his latest job to dedicate himself to his fledgling movie career and doesn't even tell Jess.
He's one of these guys who, for over a year, had been pretending to go to work every day, and he had no job.
Why aren't you at work?
Oh, I told you I was working from home today, didn't I?
We actually had one friend of his, a very close friend who, in the movie business, gave him $30,000.
What are you working on?
Look, I'm expecting a couple of really important phone calls. Could you just give me a little space, please?
And he had several other investors. We believe he had over $100,000. And he lived off that.
Now listen, I can absolutely assure you.
Mark gets the idea to make a short film inspired by Dexter.
Yeah, you have a good one.
For weeks, Mark works on the movie script in secret, telling no one, especially not Jess, what he's up to.
Good morning.
Morning.
Really was essentially a film about Dexter, a film about killing, a dark film, a film about how to commit murder.
Mark rents a residential garage to use as a set and decides to reveal his movie plans to Jess. But how far will Mark go to bring his movie to life?
She knew about his, movie producing was kind of the hobby. She still thought he had a full-time job. It was obvious in the way he writes and the way he talked about it that she obviously had lost some trust in him.
All right, here we are. All right, what do you think?
What is this? Mark?
What do you mean, what is this? This is my life. This is the project that's gonna do it for me.
No, Mark, no. This is not gonna make it. We can't afford any of this.
Mark Twitchell has spent months channeling the spirit of the fictional Dexter.
This is everything that I was ever meant to do. Why can't you get that?
Is his film, in fact, just a rehearsal plan for a real murder?
He would know what it really felt like to commit these crimes and to get away with things, so then he could take that actual experience, that real life experience, and put it into his fictional life.
You want to tell us where the body is now?
When the Dexter series hit small screens in 2006, the portrayal of the charming but lethal title character captivates audiences.
Dexter was everything that audiences love in a series character. Look, he's handsome, he's sweet, he's a dedicated family man, and yes, he kills people, but nobody's perfect.
Fueled by obsessive viewings of the series, Mark Twitchell is about to direct his own Dexter-inspired short film, and there's only one person standing in his way, his wife, Jess.
This wasn't a guy who maybe wanted to do things with his wife and child.
This is not gonna make it. We can't afford any of this.
It was how to film this and how to film that.
This is everything that I was ever meant to do. Why can't you get that?
And it eventually became, how do I kill?
Despite his wife's objections, Mark moves ahead with plans to make his film, which he calls House of Cards.
A married man would be lured via the internet to meet a girl for the idea of having sex, meet her, and then come there, and he would be overpowered by an assailant and ultimately killed, and then dispose of the body. That was the House of Cards.
In late September 2008, Mark enlists a small crew, some actors, and begins directing his movie. One aspect of the production he's particularly focused on is the murder.
They had a chair made up where they tied the guy to it, and they actually end up stabbing him, and they had the fake blood going with the corn syrup and the red dye and everything like that. I think Mark's ultimate goal, I truly believe, is that he wanted to see and feel what it's like to actually kill someone.
After the movie wraps, Mark catches up on the third season of Dexter and thinks about what's next.
The movie, his idea of becoming a filmmaker, none of this was enough. He really had a strong impulse to kill. And Dexter was whom he related to, because they both shared that impulse.
Inspired by Dexter, Mark writes what he calls SK Confessions. The title is a nod to one of his favorite writers, Stephen King, and to his aspirations.
There's no doubt he wanted to become a serial killer. I mean, the first line is, "This is the story of my progression into becoming a serial killer." That's his first line.
I fantasized about killing people who have wronged me, taking inspiration from existing works like the Showtime series Dexter.
Essentially, he spoke about everything that was part of him and his plan. And it was, in many ways, a documentation of his life and what he was consumed with and how he killed and what steps of Dexter.
Mark soon realizes that finding the perfect victim for his crime won't be easy.
He first thought he'd go after married men for cheating on their spouses, but he realized if he killed a married man, they'd be missed pretty quick. So their wives would obviously wonder if they didn't come home that night. So he thought, maybe if I kill a single guy, he might not be missed as quick.
Mark creates a fake profile on an online dating site. He calls himself Sheena.
He sold himself off as an attractive female.
He got a picture of a girl that he just stole from another dating website, a very good-looking blonde girl.
Responses to Sheena's profile pour in. Mark sifts through them, searching for the perfect victim.
Now, Mark, as a predator, did not want to get a male that could overpower him, because he didn't want them too tall, he didn't want them too strong.
After several days, Mark finds him. A 36-year-old man named Gilles Tétrault.
Gilles is a lonely single guy and, working a security guard job, and he wanted some female companionship. He's fascinated by this good-looking girl who's showing some interest in him. Conversations are going very well. Mark Twitchell, of course, is manipulating his conversation, and Gilles is buying into everything. They set up a date for a Friday night. The whole idea of it, he gets them thinking that they're going to get lucky. They're going to have sex.
Twitchell, pretending to be someone he's not with one of his potential victims, is very Dexter. When Dexter stalks his prey, he often takes on an alias, introduces himself, and gets to know him.
The only difference between Mark and Dexter is that Mark isn't interested in killing those who deserve it. He simply wants to know what it's like to be a killer, and he soon will find out. On October 3rd, 2008, 1 week after filming House of Cards, Mark preps the garage again. This time, there'll be no cameras rolling.
Gilles is sent directions on where to meet his date. The date won't give out the address, but gives directions how to get to this garage. You know, he says it's strange, but he gets it that she says, well, I gotta protect myself. She said she would watch from her window, bedroom window, and basically, if she liked what she saw, she would let him in. That was the whole plan.
Mark's dream of carrying out a Dexter-style murder is finally within reach, and he's about to try to make it a reality.
So Gilles goes in, and he realizes, uh-oh, I've made a big mistake. I'm in trouble.
Showtime's Dexter Morgan, hard-working employee of the Miami Police Department by day, dangerous predator by night.
As you get into his character, you really realize that this is something unique. This guy really was bold. You always brought to the edge of him getting uncovered or getting discovered.
October 3rd, 2008, unsuspecting bachelor Gilles Tétrault shows up at a garage in Edmonton's South End to meet the girl of his dreams. Instead, he meets Mark Twitchell, a masked man whose obsession with Dexter has inspired him to attempt murder.
The man in the mask was in hiding as Gilles Tétrault went into this garage.
Mark has armed himself with a taser to subdue his future victim.
He expected this stun gun to work and just drop the guy down. He was going to duct tape him to his Dexter table, as he called it, and then slowly kill him. That was the plan.
Fight ensued, and basically Gilles Tétrault fought for his life.
Gilles is thinking, I gotta get out of here. He thinks it's a robbery. He's going to be robbed. You can imagine how scared he is. And he thinks, no one knows I'm here. He hasn't told anyone, his family. They'll never know what happened to me.
Mark gives up on the stun gun and pulls out a handgun.
Gilles grabbed the gun and he felt plastic.
He realized that gun wasn't real.
He says it was the greatest feeling I had since I got in that garage.
But he also realized that if he didn't fight, he might not live. And he wasn't going to go down that easy. Somehow he crawled and scratched his way out of that garage.
But outside, Mark grabs Gilles by the legs and attempts to drag him back into the garage.
Gilles was thinking, oh my God, he's got me again. If I go back in that garage, I'm dead. He goes to get up, he can't get up. His legs, he describes them as just not working. This is like a Hollywood movie.
As Mark and Gilles struggle, a man and woman appear on the walking path near the driveway.
Fine, we're just...
He thought, this is great. I've got two people, they can help me. Help! Help! Gilles is going, please help me, please help me. This guy's trying to rob me.
It's all right, we're just playing around, it's fine.
Twitchell, meantime, he's trying to pretend that they're just fooling around to these people. They don't know what's going on, because Gilles isn't making a lot of sense to them. And they're scared. They don't want to help him. They actually walk away.
Spooked by the witnesses, Mark runs back into the garage and leaves Gilles behind, alive and free to go.
He says, I just got in my truck, fired it up, and drove away.
Back at home, Gilles' horrifying encounter starts to sink in.
He tries to gather his thoughts, and he decides, okay, maybe I will call the police. So he pulls up the profile, or goes to pull up the profile on his computer. Everything's been deleted. So Gilles thought to himself, I got no way of proving this. So he never phoned the police.
I think he wanted to forget the whole thing, that something like this scary incident had even happened to him.
Although Mark's first attempt to become Dexter Morgan was a failure, he isn't done auditioning.
Mark's first instinct was that cops will be coming by, but it never happens. Eventually, fear and concern for his actions starts to dissipate, and he again feels he can kill, and this time he truly will murder, and he'll be able to get away with it.
1 week later, on October 10th, 2008, Twitchell targets a new victim. 38-year-old Johnny Altinger.
Johnny was just your average single guy, working at a machine shop, doing labor work.
He had a lot of good friends. He had a close family, and he was a single gentleman.
I actually think I have a date.
Johnny has experience with online dating, but has never found the right woman.
And on the internet was the image, a photograph, of a beautiful woman who was interested in him and wanted to meet him.
She calls herself Jen, and she invites Johnny to come over that Friday evening. After Gilles' incredible escape, Mark has revised his murder weapon.
So he decides his next plan of attack will be lead pipes. His next victim he'll hit over the head with lead pipes, knock him unconscious.
Mark emails Johnny specific instructions to the garage where Jen claims she will be waiting.
What happens is, Johnny shows up 45 minutes early. He sees the door open, and he goes under it. And he speaks face to face with Mark Twitchell. Twitchell's not ready.
Jen? Wait, what's going on here? Oh, you must be Johnny. Jen told me you were coming. She'll be right back. No, you tell her that I'll be back.
Naturally, Mark won't just let him go.
And Twitchell walks up behind him and just nails him over the head, multiple times with the lead pipe.
Within a few minutes, Johnny Altinger is dead.
Mark loved the sense of power and control that he had over his victim.
It was a pretty horrific thing. He basically beat him to death with this pipe.
What's next is probably the part Mark Twitchell liked the best, the cutting up of the body.
Mark has set up the garage to mirror Dexter's kill room. Mark's plan is to dismember Johnny Altinger's body piece by piece, just like Dexter would have done.
As Dexter himself says, I can kill a man, dismember his body, and still be home in time for Letterman.
The gruesome job does not faze Mark. He even brags about his crime in his SK Confessions.
He talks about basically whistling while he worked.
Just like Dexter, Mark is a fastidious monster and loads his victims' remains in trash bags.
Twitchell was going to dump the body parts over the bridge. His better plan turned out to be that he would dump him down a sewer. And that's eventually what he did.
It's past midnight when Twitchell arrives home.
He was so brilliant in his own mind that no one would ever suspect that it was that man down the block, the man with the beautiful wife and the little child, who was actually committing murder.
He was acting like a chip off the old Dexter block.
But if Mark is going to get away with murder, he still has some cleanup to do.
After he killed John, he actually went to John's apartment and broke in. He ends up stealing John's laptop. John is logged in, so he didn't need a password for anything. He now sends an email from John's computer to all John's email list of friends, saying, I've ran away with a girl to Costa Rica, and I'll be back in a couple months. I met my sugar mama.
There was another email to his work saying, hey, I've quit my job.
However, things don't go exactly according to the script.
He underestimated the police. He thought we were stupid, which worked just perfect for us.
Mark Twitchell is riding high on the excitement of his first murder inspired by TV serial killer Dexter Morgan. The emails Mark sent from Johnny Altinger's computer aren't sitting well with Johnny's friends. And they've taken their suspicions to the police.
They reported missing and said, hey, this is what we found. Here's our emails. This doesn't make any sense. And everyone got this email about they ran away with this sugar mama to Costa Rica, but none of us have heard from him.
Some of Johnny's friends even break into his apartment.
They find Johnny's passport, and they find suitcases. They find dishes that aren't done. Things that, if you're going away for a few months, you would at least probably clean up a little bit. So the police go, yeah, this doesn't look right.
The police call hospitals, hotels, and airports. They search Johnny's condo and talk to his friends.
Johnny drives a red Mazda. Red Mazda's missing. So we obviously put a be on the lookout for this license plate on this red Mazda.
Johnny has now been missing for 8 days. The police are having no luck finding him until they follow up on an email.
Johnny sent an email to his friend. So he sends one friend the email saying, hey, I'm going to meet this girl. I've been chatting with her online. Here's the directions in case something happens to me. And he sent him the email, which were the directions to the garage.
The police discover the South Edmonton garage is rented out to a man named Mark Twitchell.
They end up calling Mark Twitchell on the phone. Sure, I'll come down there. Well, it's about a 45-minute drive. Mr. Cooperative.
How you doing?
Hey, officers, how are you?
Hello, how are you today?
Well.
Thanks for coming down today. Could we take a quick look in the garage?
Sure.
Don't mind.
Sure, yeah.
Twitchell claims he hasn't been to the garage in weeks. And in the meantime, someone has messed with the lock.
Oh, that's weird. Somebody's messed with the combination. The numbers are different.
Yeah, that is weird.
Here you go.
You working here?
I use it as a film studio, actually. I'm a bit of a filmmaker. Use it as a soundstage.
When the police were questioning him, Mark loved this.
Movies?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
that's good. What kind of movies?
because it was all part of the plan.
Oh, all different kinds. I really like sci-fi. That's sort of my go-to.
All part of, in his mind, this great big game.
Oh, sci-fi, huh?
Ever since I was a kid, Star Wars.
Oh, that's super.
Got me into it, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like an episode of Dexter. How I can fool them, how I can get over on them, how I can end up on top.
They walk in and they look around and they see the table. And Mark tells them, I've been filming this movie about this House of Cards thing, and we actually filmed the guy being killed in this garage. And we used corn syrup and red dye.
The investigators note the cleaning supplies.
So they ask him, when was the last time you were here? And he mentions it's like in September. So it's quite a few days before. One of the officers is walking through and sees a receipt. It's dated for October 15th. And he goes, oh yeah, you know what? I dropped off those cleaning supplies. So quick on his feet, thinking, tells another lie to cover up his last one.
Well, thanks for letting us take a look around here. Well,
Okay.
have a good afternoon.
Yeah, you too.
Of course, now the officers go, oh, that's a little odd. You should remember that.
The officers ask Mark to come to the police station for an interview and to give a statement. Mark is happy to help.
Okay, so I'm Detective Mike Tabler, Police Service.
So now they're gonna get a detective involved and just have him interviewed a little more thoroughly, properly, and just see what he has to say. Well, they're still not thinking anything's up, but just let's check it out.
So, okay, let me get this straight.
Yeah.
The guy who's missing
Yeah.
shows up to my garage,
Right. 5712 40th Ave. Yeah.
claims to have been in it.
Yeah, and talk to a guy. Does it sound like anything that could be related in any way to any movie sort of stuff you're doing, or?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I'm the producer. I pretty much control all the elements.
What sort of a film is it?
It's a suspense thriller.
I mean, it's kind of odd that you're filming that kind of thing. And we end up drawn to that garage because of a missing person.
That's really freaky too, and as soon as they called me, I get this weird chill.
During the police interview, Mark has answers for every question the detective asks.
Mark Twitchell's sitting there very just talkative, like going on and on.
I'm more interested in writing, producing, and directing.
Tell him all about his movie business.
I'm working on a comedy right now, which is it's actually a full-blown feature that's actually going to have a decent budget.
I came out of it, I remember saying to the guys, oh, this guy interviewed really well. He's answering all the questions, doesn't appear to be hiding nothing. He's that good a liar.
The police send Mark home. The next day, investigator Bill Clark reaches out to CSI to help determine whether or not their missing person case may in fact be a homicide.
We decided, why don't we just phone Mark Twitchell and ask him if he'll let us use the garage?
Mark agrees to hand over the keys to investigators, but he also volunteers some new information.
He goes, yeah, I forgot to tell him that night. I bought a red car off a guy. I'm not sure if that's got anything to do with your case or not, or if it was the same guy.
I think the alarm bells went off pretty big. He just told the most completely unbelievable story about a car.
Using Twitchell's directions, patrol officers are sent out to collect the red car.
We found the red car at his friend's house, about a mile away from where the garage was.
Detectives suspect the car is Johnny Altinger's red Mazda. They invite Mark to the police station to give a second statement.
So I'm thinking, did he kill him? I don't know. But he knows something to do with the disappearance of Johnny Altinger.
Mark claims he bought the car for $40 from a man who randomly approached him on the street.
Once again, on the premise that he has met this remarkable woman that he's just going to up and leave everything for and head to a tropical island and sell this car to a complete stranger for $40. That was his story to police. I think it's safe to say they didn't buy that story.
Police confirm the car belongs to Johnny Altinger.
I went, holy shit, he killed him. But we have nothing to arrest him on. I got no evidence. I don't know anything, other than I got a missing guy. Really, unless we get a confession, this guy's walking out of here.
Finally, after hours of questioning, Bill Clark confronts Mark about his involvement in Johnny Altinger's disappearance.
I walk in, and then I say to him, I go, Mark, I know you're involved in the disappearance of Johnny Altinger. There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that you're involved in the disappearance of John Altinger. And he just looks at me. For something like 13 seconds, he looks at me. Doesn't say a word. No doubt in my mind at all, Mark. Why?
Mark admits nothing and finally says he wants to talk to a lawyer.
He's now gone from Mr. Chitty Chatty to not saying hardly anything.
The police have no choice. Mark is free to go until they can find some hard evidence. But before he leaves, police seize Mark's car.
Gee, just looking at me, he goes, oh, I just want to get something out of it. I says, you're getting nothing out of that car.
Search warrant in hand, the police comb through Twitchell's car. The most crucial evidence they find includes blood in the trunk, a knife caked with blood, and a laptop computer.
It was just a gold mine, a treasure trove of evidence.
The tech crime unit goes through the files on Mark's laptop and discover a deleted document called SK Confessions.
When police found that, I can't imagine how stunned they must have been. It was chilling. It was quite chilling.
And suddenly, it looks like Twitchell's very own house of cards is about to come crashing down.
This is a man who is proud of his accomplishments to kill.
Inspired by the hit television series Dexter, aspiring filmmaker Mark Twitchell sets out to become a serial killer.
It's almost like Mark Twitchell had come to see his real life as just another episode of Dexter.
But now, Mark is dangerously close to being caught. He's the #1 suspect in the disappearance of Johnny Altinger, and police have discovered a 30-some page document called the SK Confessions on Mark's laptop.
I started reading it, and it's phenomenal. It's actually eerie.
The document contains a blow-by-blow account of killing a man. Dismembering his body and dumping it in trash bags.
I just remember it was horrifying to read that, to know what had happened to this person in this garage, to be able to read that, and it seemed like it was word for word what happened.
While police set out to fact-check the document, they continue their search for hard evidence. Mark is put under 24/7 surveillance.
We were worried that, based on what we knew, and especially after discovering this SK Confessions document, that he would kill again. So we wanted to keep an eye on him.
Let's go. Ready? Make it official. Yeah. Good day, ma'am.
Hello, can I help you?
I think she was still truly in disbelief. I mean, I'm coming there and telling her husband's probably a killer.
We need to talk to you about your husband. Can we come in?
What is this about?
We just have a few questions for you we need to talk about.
Okay, come on in.
You could just see the wheels were turning. She was upset. She started to cry. And then we decided that we were going to get a search warrant to search her house. She did leave the house that morning with the child. They basically separated at that point.
In the house, police find Mark's movie props, Dexter DVDs, and some potential evidence.
We found blood on a pair of jeans that had been washed already. We found postcards, blank postcards with Costa Rica on them.
Investigators also head back to Mark's garage and take a much closer look this time.
They saw the table. When you take a very, very close look, there's blood in the cracks. We found blood spatter all over the main overhead door. There was hundreds of spots.
Less than 2 weeks later, the lab results confirm the blood samples from both the garage and Mark's car match that of murder victim Johnny Altinger. On Halloween Day, October 31st, 2008, Mark Twitchell is arrested for murder.
This is a copycat killer. Make no doubt about that. In the papers, the headline said, Dexter Killer.
It was a story that fascinated people. It's as big a case as Edmonton has ever seen.
Police now have a mountain of evidence against Mark, including statements from his first victim, Gilles Tétrault, who has finally come forward to police.
I think he felt compelled to call police because some of the details he had been hearing in the media struck a nerve with him. He's like, oh, I think I just lived through that.
But there's one thing they don't have: a body.
How did you lock this gate up to make him go in the overhead door? What did you do to lock it up? Is that the lock you bought at the store there? I showed you the Walmart receipt? Combo lock, you put it on here, you put it on the front.
Police take Twitchell back to the scene of the crime, hoping he will crack and tell them where he took Johnny Altinger's remains.
You want to tell us where the body is now? We'll get this over with, get you back to the station.
9 months before the trial, Mark surprises police by giving them a map. It shows them the exact location of Johnny's remains.
The remains were found in a sewer.
We were able to make that phone call to the family and say, hey, you know what? We do know what happened to them. It's horrible what happened to their son and their brother. But at least you can say, hey, we did everything we could and we got them.
In March 2011, Mark Twitchell goes on trial for first-degree murder. There's only one witness for the defense, and that's Mark Twitchell himself. And he's got another whopper of a tale to tell.
Mark's defense in the trial was that he killed out of self-defense.
This whole showing up at the garage, all of this was part of a hoax to build momentum, publicity for his movie, and that his victim didn't buy into that and became enraged, so a fight ensued. He blamed his victim and admitted to killing his victim, but clearly said that he had no choice.
But the jury doesn't buy it. Mark Twitchell is convicted and sentenced to life imprisonment.
I have no doubt in my mind he would have become a serial killer given the opportunity. That he would have kept on killing had we not caught him.
In 2012, Michael C. Hall, the actor who plays Dexter, comments on a national radio show. It's horrifying to entertain the notion that something you did inspired that. I immediately found myself saying, well, you know, he would have found something else to inspire him. But I don't know.
What happened to Mark was festering inside him throughout his life. He had a need to kill. Dexter only helped him to formulate his plan more clearly.
Mark Twitchell is currently serving his sentence at a maximum security prison.
It's ironic because all the way through the series, Dexter just keeps killing and killing and killing and never gets caught.
Of course, real life isn't exactly what you see on TV. And if anyone should know that, it's Mark Twitchell.